Okay, it's recording.
Welcome everybody to episode 30. This is Coffee Talk with Julie and Nate. 30. It's incredible. Every time I look at the growing number, I'm surprised. And Julie is joining us in the middle of a maestro class. Hi, Julie.
From lovely downtown Houston.
You're in Houston.
Yeah.
So you're taking this class live, like in person live.
In person live.
And how many people are in person live?
I don't think that we're allowed to say.
Oh, okay. So that's cool. But it's nice that you're like getting physical hugs and bars and body processes and like, how does it feel?
We're not at liberty to say that either. What happens behind those doors?
How's your hotel room?
Well, as you can see,
Yeah, it looks amazing.
a painting and there's a chair.
Wow.
Yeah, it's been quite amazing. And I'm not sure if it's not because we haven't been able to be in contact for so long. It's like we've been building on this for years. One of the things that was really cool that I got to this awareness yesterday, the day before, whatever. Dane was talking about the polarity here, the right and wrong, the good and bad, and how we turn everything into this polarity, which is the digitization of reality, which is the zeros and ones, right?
Right.
And it just reminded me of way back in the beginning when we first took foundation. I don't know if you had those long 3/4 of a page processes.
Yes.
What are you unwilling?
Those. Yep.
So hear the words now. What are you unwilling to perceive, know, be, and receive about the form, structure, and significance of the, hold on a second. I can't even remember my brain. Hold on a second.
I have my 2 and 3 manual.
I started writing it out.
Hang on. Can I stand up with these earphones? Give me a second.
Shit, I can't even. Form, structure, and significance of the. Oh my God, my brain is just totally gone. Okay, how does it get better than that? But that's it. The binary encodings and inclusions of the many different languages of never perceiving, knowing, being, and receiving, claiming, owning, and acknowledging the magnificent validation, power, and freedom that you truly be. Do you remember that? But it's like the binary encodings and inclusions. That's what this is. The whole right and wrong, good and bad, zeros and ones, the way we digitize things into reality instead of this like expanded awareness of all these moving parts and pieces and possibilities that just are. Does that make sense?
It does. It does make sense. And it's interesting because, I mean, this is a process that you remember from years and years ago, and it shows up again. Now, do you remember, was it last year or was it 2 years ago now? Dane was asking the question, like, what's possible here? Like, what's possible with this that I didn't think was possible, that if it was possible? And I was flipping through my facilitator's manual from like 2010, 9 or 10 maybe. And that question is in there. And I was like, this is not a new thing. And again, with the BDSW call, the last one, and he talks about how things are sort of show up in this reality, in this existence, and like we aren't ready for them, but they sort of show up and they start to begin creating. And then when the time is is ready, then we start to implement them and use them more effectively, or to create even greater change, right? Yeah. So it's interesting when you have kind of been around this long to see the way that things, like, they show up again and they're still effective, but even more so.
Yeah, and it's like this deeper, I don't want to say understanding, it's a deeper awareness of what those words are pointing to,
Right.
from this new perspective. Because back then, I didn't fucking know what binary encodings and inclusion, it was just all these words. And I memorized it because I facilitated so many classes that I went through that clearing so many times that I could just rattle it off. But now, when he's talking about the zeros and ones and the binary encoding, I'm like, oh, that's what he was saying. Okay. And then we did some session about like stepping into the magnificence that we are as a being. And it was like, oh, that's the next part of the clearing. Everywhere, you know, you're not willing to perceive, no being received, the magnificent validation, power, and freedom that we are as beings.
Yeah, I was busy looking for this is my 2008 level 3 manual.
Wow, I recycled all mine.
Did you? Yeah, that's probably a good idea. Because I do remember Gary, he's like, oh yeah, this woman who has every manual since every class she's taken, and what's she doing? Because it's all new and better and different. And I get it. And also there's reference materials and all this is in there, right? So yeah, that's maybe a good idea.
I just had so many binders, and we were moving when I got divorced.
Yeah.
In 2010. Yeah.
How much fun is it that you can't remember? Like how? I'm serious though. Like when
I was like, is it 2020 or is it 2000? No, now it's 2020. That was 2020.
Yeah. But when people like know the date exactly,
yeah,
it means like it was. And as soon as I say that, if you remember the date, it makes it significant, because I remember all the dates. Like, oh yeah, my girlfriend broke up with me on this day. Like, oh crap, is that significant? Like, anyway. Yeah. So this manual, like, I still remember the first time that I heard these, and these were like relatively long processes, but these were all the ones that are like absolutely, totally, eternally, irrevocably, infinitely, and utterly choosing that you truly could be refusing.
Right.
Like, yeah,
right.
all those. And then the creation of the indefinite life and infinite choices of and for it, whenever.
So another piece that we went into was somebody was asking a question, and it was like, as they were presenting it, it was this fucking maze. And Dane's like, it's not a maze, it's a labyrinth.
Right.
And so then he started doing some clearing about the labyrinthal, triangulational, creational reality of the universal, you know, like that all part of the clearing. It was just so interesting how it's, and it made so much sense. And so the difference between a maze and a labyrinth is the maze, you can go this way and that way and you have choice, but a labyrinth, there's one way to go in, you have to go around and around and around and around and around and around until you get to the center, and then you go out. And that's it. But it's this whole fucking blah, 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 right? Yeah. How much are we doing that with everything in our lives? And where's the choice?
Yeah, it's the one, I mean, it's the right way or the wrong way, you know? Like, yeah, I've been even more and more and more aware recently. It's amazing, like, the more access classes you do and the more you kind of use the tools, how you become, I don't want to say painfully aware, but like really sensitive to the way that people speak. And even when they say what to them is the most innocuous little statement, and then you like it kind of pings you and like it hurts. You're like, ah, don't say that, don't say that. Ah, ugh. Like, yeah.
Yes.
That, I mean, that just happened tonight.
That's when interesting point of view comes in.
Yeah.
Because like you can have that awareness and then have it melt. But if we make it significant, or, you know, we're being righteous about it, they shouldn't say that. I can't believe they're making it significant, whatever. Then we stick ourselves with it.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. So that's been a bit of a shift in the last, I guess it's like month now, but the righteousness versus rightness.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you want to explain a little bit more about the distinction?
Sure, if I can. Well, we know what rightness is,
Right.
rightness and wrongness, and how we always want to get it right. But it's like this proving to be right, whereas righteous is more subtle, and it's like, how did Dane describe it? It's like from God, or from, you know, so you know you're right. It's not about trying to be right, proving you're right. You are fucking righteous because this is so.
Like the first time that I heard about this, it struck a chord with me because of my very conservative, very church-going religious upbringing, and the idea of righteousness as sort of being anointed by God. Like,
Yeah.
like God has said, you are righteous, which means even when you fuck up, you're still approved as being right. Like you have that magical quality of being like better than anyone else, and you're sort of have that approval of being not just right, but righteous is like a higher level, like a more pure level of rightness.
You're like,
Like
stamped approved.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
And of
definitely.
course, this is how things are.
Like, but it was such a, yeah, that really just hit home with me coming from the background that I've had. And I mean the use of the word righteous and how that's even even like a higher level or a more pure level of rightness, because it's not even from yourself, it's from outside of you that's sort of approved you as being righteous. Yeah. And someone can't question your righteousness. Like they can sort of question if you're right or wrong, but when you're righteous,
Yeah.
it's inassailable. Like
Right.
you can't attack it. You can, it's like up on this
Yes.
throne or podium or sort of like cloud or whatever the position of unattackableness is. Yeah. So that really struck a chord when I heard that the first time. Huh.
Yes. I'm just.
So, oh no, I know you're before class now. You're busy, and
No, I was just, I had posted on Facebook that we were going to be streaming, and I just had to say technical
clarify it
difficulties.
didn't
We're
work
just
out.
recording.
Yeah.
For all the people who were waiting. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oops, sorry, everybody.
Sorry about that. Yeah, we should have tried that. But I've got, yeah, I messed up with the login and the hosting and all that other stuff. So,
yeah.
How was it flying? I assume this is the first time you've flown in the last 11 months?
Year. Yes.
Yeah.
It was fine. I got through, security and all of that really quick and easy. I have clear. I don't know if you know what that is, but it's like a cut the line kind of a thing.
Okay.
And I didn't do basic economy. I don't like to do that. I like up it a little bit. So on the way out, I think in basic economy, they had everybody right next to each other, but in the economy plus or whatever it was, I had a seat in between. So that was 2 feet away from the guy next to me who was a business traveler and he hated masks. So he like faked that he was eating or drinking the whole time and took it off. And
Yeah.
I'm like, whatever. I don't have a point of view about it. I know I'm fine. And yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. Well,
If it
it's
felt heavy, I wouldn't have stayed.
yeah. One of the humorous things to me has been like the Korean government is very, I mean, they just upped the level today again. So the level of distancing and meetings and all that other stuff has, like, restaurants have to close at 9 o'clock starting tomorrow and all this other stuff.
Because the virus comes out after 9.
Yes, it does. I think it might have to do with people being less responsible after 9, kind of like, hey, let's get together and have a few drinks. And so it kind of shuts down that social conviviality that might be showing up after 9. But when you go into the subway station, there are some benches periodically throughout, and on the bench there's a sticker that's like, "Don't sit next to each other on the subway bench." So then you wait a couple minutes, and the subway comes, and then you get on the subway, and everyone's like super packed in. So it's like, I don't know. It's just kind of humorous to me that everyone's like careful about the distancing when they're like not in the subway, but then they get inside and they're like, well, whatever it takes to get home faster, you know? Like,
Oh my God.
anyway, but you can, I mean,
Wow.
you can be fined for not wearing masks now. So that's yeah, that's still going on. And because of the upgraded I don't know what to call it, security, but I usually have a meeting on Wednesdays where like 5 or 6 of us get together in a classroom, and the classroom like owner, the manager of the site, said that no groups bigger than 3 can get together. So we've had to like move the Wednesday meeting online. So I don't know.
The thing is to not try to make sense of it all, because when you do that, you have to pull yourself in and try to figure out and use your mind. It's like from this more expansive place and being aware of multiple things at the same time instead of trying to focus on one allows you to access a totally different reality.
Yeah. And the other thing that I've found is like it's completely useless to be angry or upset or frustrated. Like that creates, it doesn't create any change, and all it does is like kind of blocks you up. I mean, even physically, like when you feel the emotions of anger, frustration, disappointment, like any of those, you feel them, like it affects your body. And if you're unwilling to laugh about it or just be like, well, whatever, this is the situation today, what's it going to take to be different tomorrow, you know, like,
yeah.
But anybody who just fights it, it creates
Yep.
not greater and more for anybody.
Fighting anything
Like, yeah,
is a limitation. And it doesn't mean that you go along with it either. It's that whole resistance and reaction or alignment and agreement. Both of them stick you in the polarity and the binary encodings and inclusions. So really the only thing you can be or do to choose to be outside of that is interesting point of view and expanding.
Yeah. And that's really
In
interesting
which,
because
and then everything changes. You're not locked into this choice or that choice. It's not an either or. It's what else is possible brings you outside of that. And then all of a sudden, there's more possibilities that never existed before.
yeah. And I'd never until now I'd never thought about that as such a wonderful crystallization of the idea of allowance, because for me, as it has always been explained, of like the rock in the stream and the water goes around you and you're not fighting it and all that other stuff, like I kind of got it, but now seeing the way that I can face the situation and then just like be an allowance without, as you said, fighting it or resisting it or reacting to it, and just sort of like being and having it just flow by, in a sense.
Mhm.
Like, yeah.
And by being that, you change what's going on.
Yes.
And that's the other thing that Dane has been talking about in this class in particular is being the SOP energy, being a symphony of possibilities, walking, not just turn it on for a session or when you need to in an emergency, but like, what if you could actually be it all the time? And you could SOP your food, and you could like, and I do it a lot, but I don't do it all the time yet.
Right. And something else that's come up for me in the last like couple weeks is the idea, but sort of the like everyone has their own reality, and I don't have to agree with anyone else's reality. So like, what's your reality with money, or what's your reality with relationship, or your reality with sex? And instead of saying like some other person has it right, I have to imitate them or emulate them, or they have it better than me, or they're worse than me. It's not even a comparison. It's simply what works for me. What's my reality with this? And so like I've been looking at what is my reality, and sort of learning to not ignore isn't the right word for it, but sort of like disregard other opinions, in a sense. Like you get the information if you need it, but at the same time, like
You
what
can
works for me.
interesting point of view it.
Yes.
You can interesting point of view it. You don't have to disregard it. You can just go, oh, wow, that's interesting that you choose that for your reality. Huh.
Yeah.
Okay. Mine's different.
Yeah. And
And
I
you can
mean,
have multiple realities. Doesn't
I
that
was gonna
sound?
say, me having been locked into the rightness and wrongness of things for such a long time, and then realizing it's potentially 15 different realities can all be workable and correct, right? Like your reality and my reality don't have to agree or be the same at all, right? And your reality could be contradictory to my reality, but it works for you, and then mine works for me. And having that, like,
Until we want to change it.
yeah.
And that's the thing, when you're interesting point of view, you can see other people's realities and other people's choices, and you can go, oh, I actually like that one better. I'll take some of this and some of that and like create a totally different reality for me.
Yeah.
That I like better.
Yeah. And that idea, like you said, that idea of duplication and
like Dane said yesterday something about not having to figure it out, or not something about like, what if money could just fall in your lap, like really literally, with it not having to be understandable or figure outable. And that's the magic. And Like, what can you be for that? And I'm like, oh, I like that. I'm going to add that in. Because for me, in my reality with money, it's always been easy. And I've had more than I need, and sometimes way more than I need, but not always. Sometimes it's like just enough for everything I'm choosing. And then I out choose and then it comes. But it's like, what would it be like to have way more than I can ever need or use? It's different. And what if it just fell in my lap and I didn't have to figure out how to create that? So somebody was saying to me yesterday at lunch, because we were talking about jewelry and gemstones and how they talk to people. And she's like, you should do something on listen to the jewels or listen to the gems, like listen to them because they're telling you they want to contribute to you. They'll make you money. They'll do whatever, heal your body or whatever. And like, are we listening or are we refusing and resisting that contribution? She's like, they'll just sell themselves. I was like, oh, right. Can I allow that?
And when you speak about that, for me, it's the idea of having decided that money is allowed to come in these different avenues. But like, if I just get on the subway and there's an envelope full of money on the seat, do I just keep it, or do I have to search out who it's from? Where did it come from? Turn it into the authorities? Like, you know, am I willing to receive money just showing up like that? And so where have I decided that money is not easy, you know? Yeah.
Yeah. How many magical ways can it just appear?
Well, you have to get off to your maestro class.
I do.
Soon. And I want to apologize to everyone for our technical difficulty. Anyone watching this in the future, sorry about this. We didn't get it sorted out. Julie's on the road. I'm going to blame it on her. She's on the road hanging out with a random unknown number of people.
Yeah, it's my fault. I should have brought my computer and then it could have all worked, but
no, it's all right. No, it's fine.
I just took my little iPad to make it easier on my bags.
Yeah, that makes sense. That totally makes sense. How soon do you fly home after the class?
Tomorrow night.
Oh, so class is done, you're gone immediately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a time crunch right before the holiday here. So
yeah, that's true. You've got like Thanksgiving, Black Friday, sales, Christmas, presents, and all that. So yeah. Nice. How's it getting better than that?
How does it?
Well, have a great class. Thanks for chatting with me again.
I look forward to seeing you next week.
Have fun.
Ciao.
Bye-bye.
Bye.